Well, how are you, Doc? How you been?
Why don't you go back where you came from?
Well, what happened to you? Somebody pulled you through a knothole?
For 20 years, Gunsmoke ruled television as one of the most beloved westerns ever made. With its dusty streets, tough marshals, and unforgettable characters, fans thought they'd seen it all. But even the most dedicated viewers missed one surprising mistake that somehow made it into the final cut.
Oh, now you're going to start to practice medicine.
All right, right there's the proof of how wrong you are when you are wrong. It just proves how wrong you are about being in bed all stove up like you are.
This scene wasn't edited, and once you spot the blooper, you'll wonder how the editors missed it too. It's a rare moment that breaks the illusion of Dodge City and reminds us that even the best shows aren't perfect. So, what really happened during this unedited Gunsmoke scene? Join us in this video as we take a closer look. Number 17. The cowboy who wasn't supposed to be there. Every long-running show has its share of on-set slip-ups, and Gunsmoke was no exception. One of the most famous and funniest bloopers happened during the episode The Cabin. In this scene, Chester is rummaging through a picnic basket while Callie gently holds an injured Native American's hand, trying to comfort him. It's a tense and emotional moment, until you look just a little closer. Behind Callie, there's someone who shouldn't be there at all, an unidentified cowboy standing in the background. He appears clearly in one shot, then vanishes when the camera cuts back to Chester. Moments later, he mysteriously reappears again, only to disappear for good once the scene shifts. It's one of those blink-and-you'll-miss-it mistakes that somehow made it past the editors and into the final cut. Fans who've spotted it often joke that this random cowboy might have been a wandering extra or crew member who accidentally stepped into the shot. Whatever the case, the blooper adds a bit of unintentional humor to an otherwise serious episode and serves as a reminder that even in the most polished westerns, a little bit of the wild always managed to sneak through what could be the next blooper on the list. Keep watching to find out. Number 16. The Disappearing Blanket Mystery. Not all Gunsmoke bloopers were about wandering extras. Some were far subtler and even sneakier. Take the morning scene with Matt and Chester, for example. Chester starts the day bundled up in a chair, a blanket pulled all the way up to his chin. It's a cozy, quiet moment until the camera shifts. From Matt's point of view, Chester suddenly has no blanket at all as he speaks, leaving viewers blinking in disbelief. Then, when the camera cuts back to the original angle, the blanket has mysteriously returned, as if nothing happened. It's the kind of tiny continuity error that could easily escape notice, yet it has become a favorite among eagle-eyed fans. This disappearing and reappearing blanket is a playful reminder that even a show as polished as Gunsmoke couldn't escape the occasional slip. And sometimes, those little mistakes make watching the episodes even more fun. What other on-screen mysteries awaited beyond the disappearing blanket? Let's find out. Number 15. The Vanishing Cross. Even the most dramatic moments in Gunsmoke weren't immune to continuity mishaps. In one memorable scene, Marshal Dillon buries an outlaw at Sarah's place, carefully placing a wooden cross at the head of the grave. As Dillon talks with Sarah, the moment feels grounded and somber. But as soon as Sarah walks away and the camera cuts back to Dillon, the cross has completely vanished. There's no explanation, just a sudden absence that would make any eagle-eyed fan pause. It's another example of how even the most carefully staged sequences could have small slip-ups that slipped through editing. Rather than detracting from the story, these tiny mistakes add a layer of charm for viewers who notice them. They remind us that behind the iconic gunfights, emotional confrontations, and sweeping Western landscapes Real humans were working on set, and occasionally, reality peeked through in the most unexpected ways. So how did Gunsmoke steal the hearts of many? Keep watching to find out. Number 14. The scene that started it all. When Gunsmoke first hit television screens, it opened with an unforgettable moment. Marshal Matt Dillon stepping into a tense gunfight. After the dust settled, he walked through a quiet graveyard toward Boot Hill, narrating words that many longtime fans instantly recognized. Those lines were lifted straight from the original Gunsmoke radio show, a clever move by the producers to bridge the gap between radio listeners and TV viewers. The scene wasn't just dramatic, it was history in the making. Shot on the same main street used in the 1952 classic High Noon, the opening instantly captured the grit and realism that made Gunsmoke stand out. But by the 1970s, times had changed. With growing pressure to reduce violence on television, the famous gunfight was replaced with a gentler introduction. Still, that original sequence remains one of the most iconic moments in Western TV history, and one detail in it wasn't edited out, leaving fans doing a double take. Even today, Gunsmoke's transition to TV was iconic. But where did this story first start? Stay tuned to find out. Number 13. From radio waves to TV glory. Before Gunsmoke became a television legend, it started out on the radio in 1952, a time when families gathered around to listen to stories of courage and justice in the Old West set in Dodge City during the rough-and-tumble 1870s. The show followed Marshal Matt Dillon as he tried to bring order to a lawless frontier. William Conrad gave Dillon his deep, commanding voice on the radio, creating a character fans instantly admired. Even without sponsors at first, CBS believed in Gunsmoke that faith paid off. The radio version ran until 1961 and became a classic in its own right. When it made the leap to television in 1955, James Arness took over the role of Dillon, marking the beginning of a new chapter in TV history. The early half-hour episodes soon expanded to a full hour in 1961, allowing for richer storytelling and deeper characters. Over 20 seasons and 635 episodes, Gunsmoke dominated the ratings, even hitting number 1 in the late 1950s. Critics called it our own Iliad and Odyssey, capturing America's mythic struggle between law and chaos. It wasn't just a Western, it was a portrait of a nation finding its conscience, one showdown at a time. From radio waves to TV glory. How did Gunsmoke survive? Let's find out. Number 12. The show that refused to die. In its early days, Gunsmoke aired as a simple half-hour drama. When those early episodes were rerun later, they were retitled Marshal Dillon to help viewers tell them apart from the newer ones. Across the Atlantic in the UK, the show carried a different name altogether, Gun Law. But when Gunsmoke expanded to a full hour in 1961, something magical happened. The stories became richer, more emotional, and far more human. Audiences weren't just watching gunfights anymore. They were seeing the personal struggles, moral choices, and quiet moments that made Dodge City feel alive. That depth helped Gunsmoke grow alongside its audience. While other westerns came and went, more than 30 of them during its run, Gunsmoke stood firm. By the late 1960s, however, even this powerhouse began to lose steam. CBS executives decided to cancel it, assuming the glory days were over, but the fans had other ideas. Outrage poured in from across the country, and even Congress took notice. And then came Babe Paley, the wife of CBS President William Paley, who personally asked her husband not to cancel Gunsmoke. Her request changed everything. CBS moved the show to a new slot, Mondays at 8 p.m., and the results were instant. Ratings climbed back up, and the series found new life. For a few more years, Gunsmoke was once again one of America's top 10 shows. It even outlasted heavyweights like Bonanza and Alias Smith and Jones, which ended in 1973. Through resilience and sheer audience love, Gunsmoke kept riding long after its rivals had faded into the sunset. How did a show that refused to die become a legend? Keep watching to find out. Number 11. The legend that never faded. Gunsmoke wasn't just another Western. It was television history in motion. From 1955 to 1975, it reigned for 2 full decades, making it the second longest-running show in TV history. Audiences couldn't get enough of its thrilling tales, heartfelt moments, and the dusty, rugged charm of the Old West. It gave rise to new stars while giving seasoned actors a chance to shine again. Even today, Gunsmoke remains a touchstone of American television, a series that still sparks conversation among fans who grew up watching it and those discovering it for the first time. Behind the cameras, the show had plenty of untold stories. From casting surprises to strict on-set rules, there was always something happening that viewers never saw. One of the biggest reasons for the show's enduring success was James Arness, the man who brought Marshal Matt Dillon to life. Unlike many actors who leave a hit series for other roles or personal reasons, Arness stayed loyal to Gunsmoke from the very first episode to the last. Even in episodes where his character took a back seat, Arness remained the heart of the show, steady, calm, and commanding. Over time, he appeared in more episodes as the same character than nearly anyone in TV history, second only to Kelsey Grammer. But while Grammer's early appearances were often brief, Arness was front and center through it all. His dedication gave Gunsmoke its soul, and it's one reason the show still rides tall in television legend. So, how did a fading legend bring Dodge City vividly to life? Stay tuned to find out more. Number 10. Life in Dodge City. The world of Gunsmoke unfolded in Dodge City, Kansas, a town trying to find its footing after the Civil War. It was a place filled with dreamers, drifters, and outlaws, where every sunrise brought the promise of opportunity and the threat of danger. At the heart of it all stood Marshal Matt Dillon, a man whose badge carried the heavy weight of keeping order in a town that often flirted with chaos. But Dillon didn't face Dodge's troubles alone. He had his loyal deputies, first Chester Good and later Festus Hagen, both brave in their own ways, though sometimes unsure when left to handle things without their marshal. Then there was Doc Adams, the gruff but good-hearted physician who cared deeply for the townsfolk, even if his old-fashioned ways tested their patience. And of course, Miss Kitty Russell, the sharp, confident saloon owner whose quiet bond with Dillon spoke volumes, even though their relationship was never made official on screen. Each episode brought new challenges to Dodge City, strangers riding in with trouble on their heels, or old enemies returning to settle a score. Sometimes Matt had to leave town, forcing his deputies to step up, adding layers of suspense and humanity to the story. Yet amid all the tension, there was laughter, too. Doc's sarcasm, Festus's folksy humor, and Chester's nervous charm gave the show warmth and balance. That blend of grit, heart, and humor made Gunsmoke feel alive, not just a TV show, but a town you could almost walk into. So what other bloopers were noticed in Gunsmoke? Let's find out. Number 9. The saloon doors and wandering signs. Even the smallest details on Gunsmoke could become sources of confusion or unintended humor. Take the doors of the Long Branch Saloon. During the day, the swinging doors were supposed to welcome townsfolk in and out. But the solid doors used to lock up at night often went missing in the shots. Conversely, the swinging doors sometimes vanished when they were supposed to be closed. Later episodes fixed this by having the solid doors visible and neatly flush against the wall. But for a time, viewers might have wondered where the doors actually went. Then there were the signs on Ma Smalley's boarding house. Depending on the episode, the sign could appear on the porch railing, the wall of the house, or even perched on the roof. Unlike the saloon doors, this little goof was never corrected, though it was subtle enough that only the most devoted eagle-eyed fans likely noticed. These small, almost invisible errors remind us that Gunsmoke was a human production. Even in a show famed for its iconic gunfights and gripping drama, the tiniest details sometimes wandered, adding a quirky charm that makes revisiting the series all the more fun. How did small set details shape the show's characters and stories? Keep watching to find out. Number 8. Sponsors, subtleties, and character quirks. Gunsmoke wasn't just known for its stories. It had a sponsor that felt right at home in the Old West, L&M Cigarettes. This partnership lasted for the first 7 seasons, until cigarette ads were banned on television. The show also carefully balanced realism with family-friendly storytelling. On the radio, it was clear that Miss Kitty ran the local saloon, and the TV show kept that truth, but presented it more subtly. By the 1970s, the opening sequences were further toned down to reduce violence and romantic content. Olivia Walton, who played Miss Kitty, famously had only a single on-screen kiss during the entire series, in the episode Matt's Love Story. Some of the show's most memorable character traits came directly from the actors themselves. Dennis Weaver, who played Chester, decided to fake a limp to make his character stand out, a choice that became a defining part of Chester's personality. And life in Dodge City remained dangerous right up to the end. Characters faced death as part of the town's harsh reality. Gary Busey's character became one of the last to go, while Harv Daly's departure came through a storyline in which he succumbed to brain cancer. These touches, from sponsor choices to character quirks and dramatic exits, show how Gunsmoke blended authenticity, creativity, and careful storytelling to remain a legendary part of television history. How did character quirks shape the casting and star-studded power? Stay tuned to find out. Number 7. Casting, characters, and star power. Casting Gunsmoke was no small feat, and some of the decisions behind the scenes are as fascinating as the episodes themselves. Polly Pond was the original choice for Miss Kitty Russell, but she turned the role down. Amanda Blake eagerly stepped in, making the character her own and becoming one of television's most beloved saloon owners. Finding the right actor for Marshal Matt Dillon proved even trickier. While William Conrad had voiced Dillon on the radio, he wasn't considered for the TV version. The network even dreamed of landing John Wayne for the role, but scheduling conflicts made that impossible. In the end, the iconic star personally recommended his friend Will Arness after 26 other actors auditioned. A choice that would define the series. Some cast members showed remarkable versatility. Ken Curtis, best known as Festus Hagen, played several other characters over the years, including Buck Taylor, Newly O'Brien, and a Texan cowboy who befriended Chester before meeting a tragic end. James Arness, meanwhile, was the only actor to appear in every single episode of Gunsmoke. Even while battling severe arthritis during the final 10 seasons, he often had to film an entire episode in a single day, just to allow a week-long recovery. Milburn Stone, who played Doc Adams, almost achieved the same feat, missing just 6 episodes in 1971 due to a heart attack. Even the character names were carefully chosen. Chester's surname changed from Good on the radio to Proudfoot on TV, a subtle nod to a hobbit from J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. Doc Adams had no first name for 16 seasons until his actor finally selected Galen, which fit perfectly. Dodge City itself became a stage for many famous visitors. Actors from Star Trek, Captain Kirk, Spock, Scotty, and Bones made appearances, as did the Brady kids, John Aston from the Addams Family, John Voight before his daughter Angelina rose to fame, and even Ron Howard. This careful mix of casting, character development, and surprise guest stars helped Gunsmoke remain fresh, beloved, and iconic throughout its 20-year run. Which Hollywood legends would pass through Dodge City's dusty streets next? Keep watching to find out. Number 6. Hollywood legends ride through Dodge City. Over its 20-year run, Gunsmoke wasn't just a Western. It was a launching pad for some of Hollywood's biggest names. Some actors were already stars, while others would become household names years later. Perhaps most surprising is the number of Star Trek actors who walked the dusty streets of Dodge City. William Shatner, the iconic Captain Kirk, appeared in the episode Quaker Girl Leonard Nimoy, who played Spock, returned multiple times between 1961 and 1966. DeForest Kelley, Bones, showed up in Indian Scout, and James Doohan, the legendary Scotty, appeared in Quint Asper Comes Home. The crossovers didn't stop at Star Trek. The Brady Bunch also made its mark. Christopher Knight, Peter Brady, appeared in The Miracle Man during Season 14. Eve Plum, Jan Brady, played Sue in Goldtown that same season. Cindy Brady herself, Susan Olsen, appeared in 2 episodes during Seasons 14 and 15. Other future stars took on roles in Dodge City as well. Charles Bronson, known for his tough guy persona, first appeared as the villain KGO in The Killer, and returned later in the same role. David Carradine, the martial arts legend from Kung Fu, played a horse thief, and Leslie Nielsen, later famous for The Naked Gun, portrayed a gang leader. Future icons such as Nick Nolte, Dennis Hopper, Kurt Russell, Richard Dreyfuss, Sam Elliott, and even Harrison Ford also passed through the town before their careers skyrocketed. It's amazing to think how many Hollywood legends trotted through Dodge City before hitting the big time. Yet, for all its star-studded guest appearances, the show's endings were sometimes quieter than the impressive list of names it welcomed, proving that while the actors came and went, Gunsmoke itself remained the true star of the town. What lasting mark was left on Dodge City and Gunsmoke? Let's find out. Number 5. Dedication, legacy, and Dodge City's influence. James Arness gave Gunsmoke more than just 2 decades of his time. He brought extraordinary dedication shaped by his own life. Before acting, he served in World War II, and during the 1944 Battle of Anzio in Italy, he was seriously wounded by machine gun fire in his lower right leg and foot. He earned a Bronze Star and a Purple Heart, but the injury stayed with him for life. On set, it meant his walking scenes had to be filmed early in the morning when the pain was least. Even so, Arness never wavered, keeping the show steady with a loyalty rare in television history. Gunsmoke also left its mark on the American language. The phrase, "get out of Dodge," meaning to leave quickly, became popular thanks to the show. Kids in the 1960s and 1980s used it regularly, often unaware it came from a TV Western. Dodge City wasn't just a setting. It became a symbol of danger, urgency, and escape. The cast was enormous, with 10 regulars, 7 recurring roles, and countless guest stars. Burt Reynolds, for instance, had a brief stint as Quint Asper, a half-native character restricted from drinking and dodging trouble. a role far removed from his later Hollywood stardom. Yet for a time, he was just another face navigating Dodge City's trials. Beyond dominating the screen, Gunsmoke influenced culture off-screen as well. Its stories, its dedication to authenticity, and its iconic cast left a mark that extended far beyond television. The show became more than entertainment. It became a touchstone for loyalty, grit, and the enduring power of storytelling in America. What myths and stories shaped the legendary duo of Dylan and Kitty? Keep watching to find out more. Number 4. Myths, Matt Dillon and Miss Kitty. For decades, fans have speculated about casting myths on Gunsmoke, the biggest being that John Wayne was originally offered the role of Matt Dillon. According to Charles Marquis Warren, who directed several episodes and knew Wayne personally, that was never true. "John Wayne lived near me," Warren recalled. "We met at his bar and sat around reviling television. He hated TV. Still, Wayne's influence was felt. He personally recommended James Arness for the role, a single piece of advice that changed the course of the show forever." Then there's Amanda Blake's iconic Miss Kitty Russell. Owning the Long Branch Saloon, she appeared in over 500 episodes and became a fan favorite, yet even her character carried a hint of mystery. On the original radio program, the show's creator Norman Macdonald hinted at Kitty's true profession, saying, "Kitty is just someone Matt has to visit every once in a while." Time magazine cheekily interpreted this as a subtle nod that she wasn't exactly selling chocolate bars. Fans long speculated about a love story between Kitty and Matt, but the show never went there. Amanda Blake once joked she'd love Matt to say, "Kitty, let's buy a hunk of land and raise some beans and kids." But then we'd have "I Love Lucy" out west. James Arness agreed, noting that an on-screen romance would have shifted the show entirely. Instead, their bond remained quiet but unmistakable, always present, never fully revealed. While the connection between Matt and Kitty added depth to Gunsmoke, behind the scenes, even more surprising stories were unfolding, some having nothing to do with romance at all, but everything to do with the grit, dedication, and quirks that made the show legendary. How did Gunsmoke survive against cancellation and keep its legacy alive? Stay tuned to find out. Number 3. How Gunsmoke survived against all odds. Even TV legends have their close calls. In 1967, Gunsmoke teetered on the edge of cancellation. Ratings were slipping, and CBS needed the coveted 8 p.m. time slot. Ironically, it was Gilligan's Island holding that spot, a show that CBS President William Paley personally didn't love. He couldn't understand why a sitcom about people stranded on an island was so popular, but he let it run because the numbers were solid. When it came down to Gunsmoke, Paley's loyalty made all the difference. A huge fan of the Western drama, he made a bold decision. He pulled Gilligan's Island from the slot and gave it to Gunsmoke. That move breathed new life into the series, giving it a second wind and allowing it to stay on the air for 8 more years. Gilligan's Island ended, but Gunsmoke rode on, a rare example of how one show could save itself simply by having the right fan in a position of power. This story reflects the show's enduring place in American culture. Gunsmoke wasn't just entertainment. It was a movement. From its dedicated cast to loyal fans and the few bold choices behind the scenes, the show fought to survive and thrived, leaving a legacy that continues to captivate viewers decades later. What led to Gunsmoke's final curtain and lasting television legacy? Let's find out. Number 2. The final curtain and enduring legacy. After 20 years of telling gripping stories from Dodge City, many fans expected Gunsmoke to end with a proper farewell, but CBS canceled the show without warning. James Arness later reflected, "We didn't do a final wrap-up show. We finished the 20th year. We all expected to go on for another season. There were no goodbyes on screen and no final message to the audience." Fortunately, fans weren't left entirely without closure. The cast and crew returned for 5 made-for-TV movies, giving audiences a little more time with their beloved characters. Throughout its long run, Gunsmoke was famous for its gunfights. Wild West historian Marshall Trimble notes that Matt Dillon shot 407 people across the series and follow-up movies. Some survived, but most didn't. The last on-screen death came in the final episode when Gary Busey's character succumbed to a brain tumor, marking the show's final dramatic moment. Before James Arness became Dillon, the producers considered 26 actors for the role, including William Conrad, who had voiced the marshal on the radio. John Wayne's recommendation ultimately secured Arness the part, and the rest is television history. Even after the series ended in 1975, Gunsmoke continued to dominate pop culture. It held the record for the most scripted primetime episodes for decades, a title it kept until 2020, when The Simpsons surpassed it with its 673rd episode. From its unforgettable cast and gripping stories to behind-the-scenes dedication and quirky bloopers, Gunsmoke remains a legendary testament to the golden age of television, a show whose echoes still resonate in American culture today. Who were the stars behind Gunsmoke's enduring legacy and fame? Keep watching to find out. Number 1. Remembering the stars of Gunsmoke. James Arness became a worldwide legend for his role as Marshal Matt Dillon in Gunsmoke, as well as his portrayal of Zeb in the European cult classic How the West Was Won. His commanding presence and steadfast dedication to the series made him an icon of television. Western's Arness passed away of natural causes at the age of 88 on June 3, 2011. Leaving behind a legacy that continues to define the genre. Dennis Weaver, who played Chester Good for 9 years, went on to pursue other notable projects. He starred as the leading man in Kentucky Jones, appeared in the 1971 film Duel, and led the TV series McCloud from 1970 to 1977. Weaver was also a devoted environmentalist, advocating for conservation long before and after retiring from acting. He passed away on February 24, 2006, at the age of 81. Amanda Blake, who brought Miss Kitty Russell to life, earned a place in the National Cowboy and Western Heritage Museum's Hall of Great Western Performers. After retiring early from acting, she made headlines as the first person to raise cheetahs in captivity. Blake died of liver failure on August 16, 1989, at the age of 60, leaving a lasting impression on fans and the Western genre alike. Milburn Stone, who played Doc Adams, came from a family of artists. His cousin, Madge Blake, appeared in nearly 100 episodes of Batman, and his brother Joe wrote 2 episodes of Gunsmoke. Originally a Broadway performer, Milburn fought to secure the show's royalties before retiring in 1975. Though he never appeared in any of the reunion films, he passed away on June 12, 1980, at the age of 70, leaving behind a legacy of dedication and artistry. Ken Curtis, who replaced Chester Good as Festus Hagen, brought humor and heart to the series. He formed a close bond with James Arness and held the title of deputy for over 11 years, delighting audiences with his comedic timing and loyalty. Curtis continued to appear in westerns after Gunsmoke, including the 1983 production The Yellow Rose. He passed away on April 28, 1991, at the age of 74. His contributions to the Western genre are so celebrated that a statue commemorating him stands in Clovis, California, a lasting tribute to Festus and his place in television history. So, what are your thoughts on the Gunsmoke bloopers and how it ended? Let us know in the comments section below. Thank you for watching this video. We hope you found it interesting. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Click the next video shown on your screen to catch up on your favorite celebrity stories. See you there.